Regulator says there's no urgent safety concern from a report into the deadly Air India crash. The disaster involved a Boeing 7878 airplane. Joining us now is the editor of airline auditing site 42000feet.com, Geoffrey Thomas. Jeff, good to see you as always. Thanks for your time. We are seeing reports though that airlines around the world are checking their fuel switches after that report into the crash was released earlier this week. Just go through for us what that report told us about what likely went so very wrong on that flight.
Yes, the report was comprehensive on one hand. It was 15 pages long. It's an interim report which is required within 30 days of the accident, which they complied with. However, it directs us to the pilots by suggesting what they said, but not in direct quotes. And it talks about the fuel switches, which are on what's called the throttle quadrant. So you've got the throttles, and just below them, you've got the fuel switches, and they go from cut off to run. To move them, you've actually got to lift them up slightly and then move them up, and then they click back into the other position. So it's not something that you can knock. And one pilot says to the other, "Why did you move the fuel switches?" And the other says, "I didn't." But that's all we've got, really. I mean, they gave us a lot of other information which we already knew. But what it's done is sent social media and papers and television stations right around the globe into sort of overdrive, trying to analyse what actually happened, because they haven't spelt out precisely what happened. They've left us with some tantalising clues, but not the meat to really substantiate that. Of course, tragically, we know that 241 passengers on board, 19 people on the ground perished, and 68 people were injured on the ground. A terrible tragedy, but what's concerning everybody from the outset is that you've got an investigation into an aeroplane which is extensively used right across the globe. I mean, there are 1,189 787s in service. They conduct 2,000 flights a day, carry 500,000 passengers a day, and people are saying, "I'm not going to travel on a 787 because they're concerned about the safety of the aeroplane." It took the Indian authorities 4 weeks to bring out a report which says there's nothing wrong with the plane, there's nothing wrong with the engines. But it's still left a lot of question marks in people's minds.
Okay, so from this interim report, it is pointing at a pilot error then, if the plane isn't to blame.
Well, it's leading us in that direction without giving us substantial proof that that is the case. Now, I know there's a criminal investigation underway because it might be suicide, possibly. But there's so many things that don't make sense. It's contradictory. There's mistakes in it. There are actually mistakes in the way it's been presented. There is mistakes in the numbers. And the report doesn't actually marry up with the CCTV vision we've got. And also, just on takeoff, there's white smoke, then grey smoke coming from one of the engines, the left-hand engine as well. So a lot of things don't add up, which is sent. I mean, right now on YouTube, for instance, there's over 75,000 videos looking into the loss of Air India Flight 171. And a lot of those videos are from very, very experienced people, former NTSB inspectors, former pilots, a lot of people raising question marks about this report, this interim report.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to wait for the final conclusions before we perhaps draw our own.